Project X on Twitter. And one of the questions that the fans really seemed to want some answers to were, I guess the best way to sum up all of these questions would be some of your vices, perhaps, some of the things that maybe held you back at certain times in the King of Sports professional wrestling. Some very interesting topics here on the sheet. It's well known in many circles, I don't think it's exactly a secret, that you certainly have a love of feet, a foot fetish.
That's right. Well, you see, when I first started in wrestling, if you didn't have something strange about you, you was in the wrong business. I mean, I've seen stuff in wrestling that the ordinary person probably had never seen in their life. You know, I've seen things where there'd be one lady and 10 guys in a room having intercourse.
Yeah.
I've seen things where guys like to get beat up, and I was one of them guys. I let women kick me in the face and stuff like that. We're going to talk
about that, Tony.
Now, a lot of people after say, why you do that? Well, I'm no psychologist. I don't claim to know a lot. In fact, there's a lot of things I don't know. But one day I was sitting on the airplane, and this lady was sitting there. She watched me. I kept looking at her shoes, so me and her got into a conversation. And she said, well, how was your childhood? And I told her, well, my dad was very abusive type of man. He beats my mother, he beat us. He was very, very abusive type of man. And she said, do you have any siblings, any brothers or sisters? I said, well, it was 4 boys, and we all came out different. I said, I came up liking women to physically abuse me. My brother, youngest brother, grew up, and he liked to abuse women. He's physically abusive to women. I have another brother that is 2 years older than me, and he cannot commit to any relationship because the relationship between my mother and my father was so horrible that he just couldn't commit to any relationship. Now, my older brother, who spent 35 years in the military, he's a veteran, and everything got to be in order. If you go up and you shake his hand, he will wash his hands. When he pack his bag, he would iron and fold his socks. He would iron and fold his underwear. If you see a picture on the wall, he had to get up and straighten it out. If you see a chair, if it's uneven or set crooked, he had to straighten out. So he wanted order because he came from such a disorder a relationship. So what the psychologist told me that mainly what I do when a woman is doing that to me, really I become my father. And the woman become my mom. Mm-hmm. So if I come down the street and I saw any man, I don't care if he's married to her, if it's his daughter, or what, hit a woman, I have to hit him. I can't stand for a man to hit a woman. My daughter was born by my ex-wife. She always tried to get me to spank her. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to spank that little girl because I can't stand to see a woman being hit. But I love to see women beating up guys. I like that. It's non-sexual. I don't get what people think, and you know, my foot fetish is totally different than toe sucking and all this other stuff that people is into. I don't get sexually aroused from a woman stepping on me or kicking on me or anything. In fact, I get such energy of happiness and joy.
It's almost like caffeine, these feet?
Like it's more like a caffeine hit.
Yes.
You know, I just get a tremendous energy from it, and and the woman, what I've noticed, they feel like for once, they feel dominant. So I get my enjoyment of seeing the smile and the dominancy on a woman's face. If you look at if you've seen any photograph or anything on the internet of a woman standing on me, you look up at her face, you see this big bright smile, because for once she in power. And due to the fact that I'm a ex-bodybuilder and a former wrestler, and still got 22-inch arm, my size, it really makes. One lady said, if you was a small guy, it wouldn't mean as much to me. But it just make women feel good to dominate a big, strong man.
Well, at what point do you remember being excited by these feet? Is it a naked foot? Is it certain kind of shoes? What is it,
it got to be a certain type of shoe. You see, in today's time, it's hard to find a woman that dressed like a woman. You know, I'm an old man, so I remember when women wore skirts, when they wore dresses, Women don't dress like women no more.
Yeah.
And then when you look at, they wear these athletic shoes, but the only thing different between a woman's shoe today and a man's shoe is the size. They look the same.
Yes,
so mainly
true.
I was more into a woman's shoe that is more of a slip-on fashion, more so than a lace-up. If you go back to the older days, women's shoes in the 60s and 70s didn't have shoelaces. Men's shoes had shoelaces. Women's shoes were more like a slip-on type. You know, like when you see like Vans, or one of my favorite today is Skechers make a good shoe called Go Walk. And it's a slip-on shoe. It don't have shoestrings in it and stuff like that. But if you look at if you take a woman's shoe and you take a man's shoe, you put them right beside each other, you couldn't tell the difference. There's a lot of things that have changed over the years. Not to get into it too much, but I remember talking to Rocky Johnson, probably about a year or so ago. And we were talking about, you know, when we wrestled down south with, you know, in Tennessee and Georgia and North Carolina and all these different places. And Rocky was telling me a story about the promoter came up to him. I don't want to call the name because I may have it right. If you ever talked to Rocky, he would know the name of the promoter. And they had this wrestler called Norvell Austin. And he said, Rocky, you got to do what Norvell do. He said, we're going to team you up with him. Y'all can do the same thing. Rocky Johnson said, well, what did Norvell do? So Rocky Johnson, remind you, is a very proud man. You know, he worked out hard. He trained with Muhammad Ali. And he's a very proud man and he's a very great athlete, one of the best athletes in pro wrestling that I have met, along with Bob Backlund and Jimmy Snuka. He was right up in one of the best. When you look at his physique, tell he was a heck of an athlete.
Right.
But anyway, they said, well, what did Rocky do? He said, well, you just watch this. He said, well, if you do it, the people will love it. So Norvell Austin would be in the ring, and he'd be down, and the guy be beating on him. And he started to make what we call a comeback, which means he's going to start fighting back. But before he started coming back, he turned into a monkey. And go, ooh, 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 ooh. And he just bounced around the ring just like a monkey. And the people, he said, look here, the people love it. I want you to do that, Rocky. Rocky looked at it. Rocky said, it took everything in him not to slap this promoter across the room. But during that period of time, it was acceptable to do that.
It was degrading.
Well, it was acceptable. I don't know.
It was. You think it was acceptable?
Well, it was in this country. It was acceptable. And then what made me think of that story is the Roseanne incident. For her to come up with that certain term,
Yeah.
it was common. It was common. I remember a scientist come on TV one day and said that he did a scientific study that black brain was smaller than a white person brain.
Yeah.
Then I became a certified personal trainer and found out that he didn't tell the truth. But they always had these certain things that fit certain people. You know, we in the old days called it stereotypes. Just like Jimmy Snuka, that was the thing with Ronnie Piper with the coconut. You know, he wanted to climb trees and get coconut because he was from the islands. So if you're from the islands, and if you're Irish, you're supposed to be a drunk.
Right.
So we all had these stereotypes, and these stereotypes would people believe them. And in my day, believe it or not, people didn't think wrong of it.
No.
Nobody on neither side of the fence really thought wrong of it. Now, if I could say, I'm probably get a lot in trouble for saying this. The worst thing, what was ABC?
Yes.
The worst thing they did was cancel that show.
Would you let Roseanne walk on you?
No, her feet too small. I like women size 10 and up. Anybody that wears like a 7 or 8, she got little feet. I can tell you, got one little bitty feet.
Just so I know this is a very personal
Because
subject
I started my foot fetish when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I never got kids to do it. I got women to do it. So you imagine a 10-year-old kid get like a 17 or 18-year-old girl to walk on him. Then the girl, to him, his feet is big. She can wear a size 6, but to a kid, them big feet.
Big feet, yes.
Them are big feet. But with the Roseanne thing, not to get off subject, I would have did what, if it was wrestling, and that had happened, in my day, not in today's time, in my day, we would have put that into the program and have her to work through her problems in the program. Because one thing that people always got to remember, you cannot solve a problem by hiding it in the closet. You can't solve a problem by sticking it under the rug. There's millions of people in America, and not just in America. I've been to England. I heard it in England. I heard it in Germany. So America is not exclusive with this or how we feel different about different races. The best way to do this is to put it in, write it into the script, and watch her go through her problems on screen. The reason race relationship was really started to improve in the olden days, because instead of getting angry about it, we was able to learn about it and understand it in a comical way. And we've done this with the Jefferson, we've done this with Red Fox, and we've done this with Archie Bunker. Mm-hmm. And we was pretty much over it. And we was going along well, and then all of a sudden they come along with political correctness, which I think set us back. Because if you don't talk about something, I rode up and down the street with Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch, mm-hmm. and it's no stranger to the rest of the world that he was racist.
Correct.
He was a member of the KKK. He was racist. But he told me one day, he said, "Tony, I like you." "You do? What do you do? Like to tie me to a cross and burn me?" No, he started laughing. He said, "No, I like you as a friend. If anybody will mess with you," he said, I'll be there for you." Now, this is a Klansman telling me that. And so I asked him why. I never judged him. He had a right to feel the way he felt. And he liked me because I didn't judge him or criticize him for feeling that way. I didn't agree with the way he felt because I didn't have the same sentiment, but I felt he had the right to feel that way, to talk that way, to think that way, as long as he didn't act upon it.
Did he ever use derogatory remarks towards you?
There was nobody in pro wrestling in the 70s that didn't use the N-word.
So you rode with Dick Murdoch, and he personally used the word towards you?
I was called
by Dick Murdoch.
Yeah, I was called. No, Murdoch wouldn't use it.
Murdoch would not, even though he was a member of the KKK.
He would not use it.
All right.
But everybody else did.
All right. Now, if Murdoch was a card-carrying member of the KKK, right, why wouldn't he use the word?
Because that's something that you would probably have to ask Murdoch, but I remember he never used the word.
Really? I find that very interesting.
Never used the word. But a lot of other people did. I mean, I was called the N-word so many times in the 70s that one day somebody said, "Tony," I didn't answer. I didn't know who they were talking to. It was very common in the dressing room.
Mm-hmm. Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It was all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now, available on eBay. Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this Karrion Kross and Scarlett double autographed 11x14 poster from NXT TakeOver in your house, number 19 of only 30 made. Comes with authentication hologram on the poster itself. Also comes with a mystery autographed 8x10 photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.